Everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, we are going to solve environmental costing question. Again, this is from Kaplan Kit, section A question. Now, first question, they're asking which two of the following activity are environmental internal failure cost? So if you remember the topic environmental costing from the PM, so you can solve this question very easily. Let's have a first recap of the concept before we tackle this question. So overall question is saying out of the option listed, which of the two activity are related to the environmental internal failure cost? So in other classification of environmental costing, as per Huston and Mendoza, they have classified this environmental cost in four categories. The first one is environmental prevention cost, second environmental detection cost, then environmental internal failure cost, then environmental external failure cost. And the question is asking environmental internal failure cost. Okay, so let's have a recap of what are these four kind of environmental cost classified by Huston and Mendoza. So environmental prevention cost means all those cost of activity designed to prevent the generation of like wastage or pollution. Example, we are just redesigning our process so that the final waste will be reduced. So we are preventing waste to happen. Right. Again, we are training the employees like how to handle the things so that there will be again reduction in the wastage. So again, we are training the employee to prevent the wastage. Obtaining certification to meet national and international standard. Obviously, we are reducing our wastage, pollution, and we are incurring cost to get certificate of that. So again, it is the environmental prevention cost. Now next is environmental detection cost, which means whatever the cost which incur us to comply with rules and regulation or voluntary standard, that will be called as environmental detection cost. Example, sorry, environmental audit. So now we are detecting the environment, like whether we are comply with all rules and regulation or not. Inspecting product to ensure regulatory compliance inspection laws and regulation. So these all are the cost we are incurring to ensure that we are comply with the standard, to ensure that we are no longer producing the waste. Why? To protect the environment. Okay. And the third is environmental internal failure cost, means cost incurred when our wastage or pollution happening in the factory are generated but contained within the organization before release. Suppose we are manufacturing the product and there will be certain waste that we need to dispose of, but we have not done treatment yet. So treatment and disposal of waste within the sites, right, or recycling the scrap materials, so we are just not releasing it into the environment, so we are incurring the cost to get it disposed before it release. Okay, so disposing of toxic materials. And similarly, environmental external failure cost is opposite of environmental internal failure cost, because the pollutant and waste product have been released to the environment, then we are incurring the cost like fines and penalty, remediation of contaminated sites, compensation to third party of environmental damage, legal costs from the environmental lawsuits. So these all are the cost which we incur after waste has been released into the environment. Now, question has asked that out of these, I think 7 to 8 options they have provided, we need to figure out any two that are related to environmental internal failure cost. And if the question is asking this kind of question, it's very tricky one. Tricky in the sense, even though we pick one right and all wrong, we will lose the mark. To get the full mark, we need to pick any two and that both should be correct. Okay, so what we learn about the internal failure cost, those costs like which are incurred by organization before wastage or pollution has been released to the environment. Okay, so we need to figure out that cost from this 8 option. Now, first option is quality control inspection to monitor pollution level in the water leaving a production process. Now, just identify by yourself which kind of cost it would be, because it is very important in MCQ. It is very important to identify the right answer, also to know why other options are incorrect. So if A is correct, why? And if A is incorrect, then again why? So it's a quality control inspection cost. So just we are inspecting the pollution level in the water leaving the production process. That means we are detecting the cost. So it will goes to the environmental detection cost. So we are having inspection of certain things to ensure we are compliance with rules and regulations. Alright. Next is water purification treatment to clean water before it leaves to the factory. So that means wastage has not been released to the environment. It is within the factory. Now the company is incurring the cost to get it done, to get it treated. So these are internal failure cost. Remember, internal failure cost incurred when waste or pollutant are generated but contained within the organization before it released. Alright. Now, fitting of carbon filter to machine process to reduce carbon emission. Means we are just fitting the carbon filter. Why? So that in future carbon emission will reduce. So we are preventing carbon emission. So this is the environmental prevention cost. Environmental prevention cost. Alright, up to here it is clear now. Now D, power uses measuring system to monitor energy consumption within the factory. So we are monitoring the things. We to comply with the rules again regulations. So again it is the environmental detection cost. Now E, payment of fines for breaching the environmental rules in the industry. So we have done the things. Now we have to pay the cost. So we have polluted the environment, or we have damaged, or we have violated the rules and regulation. Now we are paying the cost. That is the environmental failure cost. Installation of the heating pipe in the factory to reduce the heat loss. That means we are preventing the things. That's why we are incurring the cost. So this will be environmental prevention cost, right? Public relation cost to remedy reputational damage caused by accidental river pollution. So now the things have happened, then we incur the cost. Again, failure cost. Capturing and recycling of waste exhaust gas to generate energy. So that means before we release it into the environment, just we are capturing it and recycling within the factory. That means it is internal failure cost. I hope you guys understand. Now question number 60. The monthly budget for the process X. So following input output analysis. Input material we have used 1000 kg, which costs 50,000. System cost like labor, utility, and other overhead. So it's cost 30,000. So altogether cost incurred for the 1000 kg of input to process is 80,000. Now output is the good output. Expected good output is 70% of input and can be sold for 120 per kg. In this way, they have calculated 84,000 output. For waste, they expect 10% of input will be wasted and scrap at 10. So they have calculated the cost for it is 1,000. And again, expected scrap is 20% of input, which can be sold at 15. So altogether, we have an income of 3,000. So altogether our input is 1,000 is equal to the work. Our input and output kgs should be equal. Okay. Now the monthly profit is thus expected to be 6,000. The company is looking at introducing new quality system that will increase system cost by 5,000 per cost, but will reduce the waste from 10% to 4% of the input. Scrap is expected to stay at 20% of input. what would be the impact on the monthly profit of implementing this the proposal? Now let's have a full calculation. So we have input and also we have output below. Okay. So now input is materials which will be weight 1000 kg and cost will be 50,000. All right. Now system cost will be 30,000, but now they have said it will be going to increase by 5,000 per month. So altogether now our system cost will be 35,000. So altogether we have total cost of, all right. Now let's move to the output as well. For output, now good output, as they have said that by implementing the new system our waste will be reduced from 10 to 4%. So if it will reduce to 4%, that means remaining can be good one. So 6% will be converted to the good output. Now altogether we have 76% of the good output. All right. So 76% of 1000 and it will be sold for 120. Question already mentioned that, and it is income, so we will write it in positive. Then waste will be now reduced to 4%, so equal to 4% of 1000. It will be scrap at 10 and it is a now cost. Remember they have scrap cost mentioned there in the question. Now scrap value after selling it we will have 20%, right? So 20% of 1000 will be 200 and it will be sold out at 15. Now let's have a total income. Total income will be this much. Now profit will be, now given the question that previously the monthly profit was 6,000, now it has been increased to 8,800. The difference will be how much? It has been increased by 2,800 and option D will be our right answer. Okay, now let's move to the next question. Different management accounting technique can be used to account for environmental cost. One of this technique involves analyzing cost under three distinct categories: material, system, delivery, and disposal. What this technique is known as, you know very well, this is known as flow cost accounting. Because in ABC, we used to have a different kind of cost pool and cost driver. In the life cycle costing, we monitor all the costs throughout the which have been incurred throughout the life cycle. Input output is same as we did question right now, and so in flow cost accounting, we just analyze the cost into three categories: material, system, and delivery and disposal. Okay. Now question number 62. Which two of the following statement about advantage of using ABC costing for the environmental management accounting are correct? So what will be the benefit advantage if we use ABC in the environmental costing? So first is higher environmental cost can be reflected in the higher price. Cost saving achieved through environmental policy can be measured. It is simple to determine the environmental cost and cost driver. It considers all environmental effect of the company action. Okay. तो एबीसी if याद होगा आप लोग को, like if we recap the basic of ABC, like here we used to classify all cost into a different cost driver based on the common characteristics. Then we need to identify the cost driver that drive those costs, right? Then we used to calculate OAR. There are many other process in the ABC. Okay, so now if we are using ABC in environmental costing, and obviously there will be the environmental cost separately, which will be named as a cost pool, and we will figure out the cost driver. Whatever the product, if they are generating higher environmental cost, obviously their cost will be higher. Obviously in allocation their cost will be higher. Accordingly, we will have a higher selling price. Obviously, so first one is true. If there is high environmental cost generated by any product, it could be reflected in their cost. Accordingly, their selling price will be higher. Cost saving achieved through the environmental policy can be measured. Obviously, if we are using ABC, according to ABC, all kind of similar cost will be classified under same pool name as cost pool, and we will figure out the cost driver that are generating or driving that pool. And if we focus on the cost driver, we can obviously reduce the overall cost. Okay, so cost saving will be obviously achieved if we use environmental ABC based costing. It is simple to determine an environmental cost and the cost driver. No, it is very challengeable task to identify the cost driver, environmental cost, because it's purely judgmental. According to your judgment, it could be different. According to my judgment, it will be very different, and it is very challengeable task to identify the cost driver. So obviously, it is not simple. Last, it consider all environmental effect of the company action. No, not all cost can be captured. It's very, especially which cannot be quantifiable one. Those kind of environmental costs which are not quantifiable one, that cannot be considered here. So it is not possible to cover all the environmental costs. So only first two are correct. Now again, 63 number question. Question is asking the calculate the total net cost of waste and scrap using the flow cost accounting. Give your answer to the nearest dollar. Obviously, if you whenever see you blank space or blank box in the exam, be careful in what format examiner is looking for the answer. If you want answer in the correct format, you will lose mark. Okay. So now the monthly budget for the process X show the following input output analysis. So they have provided the input figure as we have done earlier. Now output figure is here. Company is looking at adopting environmental flow cost accounting in which all material and system cost will be apportioned on the basis of weight. So calculate the net cost of waste and scrap using the flow cost accounting. Give your answer to the nearest dollar. Now, question is asking you to calculate total net cost of the waste and scrap using the flow cost accounting. According to flow cost accounting, we used to value the wastage and scrap based on the input figure. So, according to input figure, if we are using 1000 kg of input or material, the total cost incurred, like including the system cost, everything, overhead, utility, we are going to have a cost of 80,000. So per kg cost will be 80. For 1 kg it will be 80 because for 1000 it's 80,000. So obviously for 1 kg it will be 80. Now, what is the total kg of waste we have produced? 200 plus 100. So how much will be the cost? If we will assign the cost to this 300 kg of scrap according to input, so we have for 1 kg of input the cost is 80,000. For 300 of scrap we will have a cost of 300 into 80, that means 24,000. In fact, we are incurring additional cost of 1,000 to scrap this all cost. So how much will be now total cost? 24,000 plus 1, 25,000. And by selling out this scrap, we are also incurring the income of 3,000. So 25 minus 3,000 will be 22,000. So this is the net cost of waste and scrap using the flow cost accounting. So I'm again repeating one more time. So we are calculating the uh, cost per kg according to the input. If our 1000 of material costs 80,000, so how much it will cost for 1 kg? 80. Now our total kg of scrap is 300, 200 plus 100. And if you value according to input method, then it will be our 80 into 300. That means 24,000 of the cost will be allocated for the scrap. Additionally, we are incurring the additional cost of 1,000 for the scrap. So 24,000 plus 1 will be 25,000. But we are also getting income of 3,000 by selling out this scrap. So which will, after netting of these two figures, we will have a net cost of 22,000. Okay. Now 64. Which two of the following statement about flow cost accounting are correct? Manufacturing cost are categorized into material cost, system cost, and delivery and disposal cost. So obviously it is true. Just now we have learned about this. So flow cost accounting records material inflow and balance this with outflow both in terms of physical quantity and at the end of the process in monetary term too, so that business are forced to focus on the environmental cost. Now you better know which type of accounting system this reflect input output analysis, because in input and output we just have input flow and output. So what if, that means according to input output analysis, whatever the material goes in, same will be come out, same quantity will be come out, and we are just having the monetary figure of both of this quantity, as we have seen earlier in question number 60. So this is our input output analysis. Now third, in flow cost accounting, output costs are allocated between the positive and negative product cost. Obviously, just now we have seen output cost is allocated between our input good output as well as scrap. Okay. So obviously this is also correct one. The aim of flow cost accounting is to increase the quantity of material, which as will have a positive effect on the environment, should have a positive effect on the company total cost in the long run. The main aim is to decrease, not increase the quantity of material, as well as have a positive effect on the environment and should have the positive effect on the company total cost in the long run. So the overall, they want to reduce the wastage with the same quantity of material. They just want to increase the good output and reduce the wastage. So that's the main aim of the flow cost accounting. Now 65 number. Which of the following statement is are true regarding the issue faced by business in the management of their environmental cost? The first is the cost involved are difficult to define. Obviously, it is quite difficult to define the cost, especially if it is related to the environmental. Okay, so this is a challenging part. Also, some of the environmental costs are hidden one, quite difficult to identify. So, in that case, obviously, it is quite difficult to measure the cost as well. Okay, so environmental cost can be categorized as quality related cost. Obviously, if we want to prevent the pollution, if when the pollution has been incurred, what kind of cost we are incurring, so this can be categorized as the quality related cost. The next is cost control can be issued in particular if the cost have been identified incorrectly in the first place. Obviously, if we have mistakenly allocated the environmental cost to the wrong product, their cost will be high. And if their cost will be high, their selling price will also be high. So cost control can be obviously be issued if we wrongly allocate the environmental cost to the wrong product. So all of them is right. Flow cost accounting technique is technique which can be used to account for environmental cost. Input and output are measured through each individual process of the production. Which of the following is not category used within the flow cost accounting? Obviously, according to flow cost accounting, it is categorized into the three categories, that is the material cost, system cost, delivery, and disposal cost. So obviously, waste flow is not a part of the flow cost accounting. Accountant usually find it difficult to deal with environmental cost. Which of the following is not a reason for this? Costs are often hidden. Yes, as I said earlier, some of the costs are hidden, so it is quite difficult to identify. In that case, obviously, it could make it difficult for the accountant to deal with the environmental cost. The costs are mostly minor. So obviously it could not be reason like due to which they will find difficult. In fact, if you consider the most of the environmental costs are used in quantity, used in the amount, because obviously they have a large cost for the waste treatment, they have a large cost for the pollution control, they have large costs incurred after they have polluted the environment in terms of fines, regulation violence, compliance with the rules and regulation, cleaning the contaminated sites. So there are large volume of cost involved, and it could not be the reason that they will find difficult because often cost is minor. So this could be the answer. See, costs are often very long term. So obviously environmental cost may rise year after year, the activity that caused them. But it will, suppose for example, if we have done pollution today, it may require many years to clean up it, right? Clean it up. So this makes it very difficult to identify and measure the cost in terms of accuracy. Now the accounting system really split up this cost automatically. As in the first option, they mention the costs are often hidden. Obviously, some of the environmental costs get hidden into in terms of overhead. So obviously, according to traditional accounting systems, usually don't have separate category for the environmental related cost. They may simply include them within our general overhead or production overhead or maintenance cost. Therefore, accountant may not immediately know the actual environmental cost incurred. So that's why it could be the one of the reason to like they find difficult to handle with the environmental cost. But B is not the reason. Okay. Now 68. Which of the following statement are true regarding TBL, triple bottom line reporting as a part of accounting for sustainability factor? So TBL, that means triple bottom line, it actually look into the three areas, that is the people, planet, and profit. So people means impact on employee, their customer, and the society where they are operating. Planet means impact on environment, and profit means obviously financial performance of the company. So first part is saying the triple bottom line reporting would involve measuring the organization profit as well as impact on the people and the planet, which is correct as per the concept. So one is correct. And if you know one is correct, option B is out. Option B is out. Either A, C, or D will be the correct answer. Now, second, measuring the impact on people, planet, profit is very straightforward for the most of the business. So, profit is obviously it is easy to measure because we have financial figure. But measuring the people and the planet is very much difficult task. How do you put the financial value on the employee well-being? How do you measure the effect of pollution on the environment or on the society you are living? How do you measure the company's social impact? So therefore, it is not straightforward. It is very difficult to quantify and compare. Now the last. If we know 2 is wrong, in that case, option A is also out and D is also out. So only C is correct answer. We are very pretty much sure here. Now last, it could be useful way for the organization to encourage staff to make efficiency cost saving and could help them to attract ethically aware staff. So, sorry. It could be a useful way for organization to encourage staff to make a efficiency cost saving and could even help them attract ethically aware staff and the customer. So this is true. If company can able to prove themselves that they care about the people, they care about the environment, they also care about the sustainable profit, obviously it can improve the reputation. Huh? So It will encourage employee to find the way to reduce the cost and save the cost. Sorry, to reduce the wastage. Also, it will help to attract those kind of employees who really care about the ethically and sustainable business, and attract customers who prefer to buy environmental friendly product, social responsible company. So this is true according to TPL, third TBL. Okay, so now we are done with this question. So almost section 8 part of the question is done and uploaded on my YouTube channel. So you can find the video on my channel. It's totally free. In case of any doubt and query, you can directly contact me in any of my social media platforms. Thank you so much guys for watching. Have a good day.